Okay, in this video I'm going to be building this AMT Oldsmobile Cutlass NASCAR, which this kit that I have here comes with the Bobby Hamilton Country Time decals. But I'm going to be building this one as the Lake Speed Wins Car Care Kmart car, which Lake Speed won his only Cup Series race in back in 1988. And I've built the 1987 version of this car a while back, which was actually issued by Monogram with these decals. The only difference is in 1987 they were running the Delta 88. And I'm gonna be, in an 88 they switched to the Cutlass. And but these are pretty much all the same. The decals are exactly the same. The paint's exactly the same, even though I'm gonna use a different color of purple on this Cutlass than I used on the Delta 88. This is the same kit pretty much as the Richard Petty Pontiac Grand Prix that I built in one of my last videos. The only difference is the Oldsmobile body. And these Cutlasses were the last Oldsmobiles in the Cup Series, and they ran from 1988 through the 92 season and virtually went unchanged. And I've airbrushed the body of this with a Tester's Gloss White, and then I'll be painting the purple on with a rattle can with this Krylon Color Max Purple, which seems to be a closer match than the purple that I used on this last build, which has some metallic in it. I think it was a Chrysler color. And I've got everything. I've started the roll cage, and there's the engine, which I'll hand paint. And this ought to be a fun build. Okay, I'm getting ready to paint the purple on the body of this Oldsmobile. And I painted the hood and the trunk, put a coat on them just to see what this color would look like. And then I took these decals with these lines that run around the numbers on the doors and use that as a template to cut that curve in the tape. And I'm going to go ahead and spray the rest of the body. And this paint goes on really thick, so this should only take one coat. But it does dry really fast, unlike a lot of these rattle can enamels. And I will probably let this dry overnight before I take the tape off and start adding decals, and I'll look at it and make sure there's no places that I missed that need another coat. I originally was gonna paint this with this Tester's Gloss Purple, but I sprayed a coat of it on with an airbrush, and it was just way too light of a color for what this car actually looked like. Okay, so I let this dry overnight, and I've pulled the tape off of it. It turned out pretty good. I've got a couple spots in it that I need to touch up with where the purple leaked onto the white, but that won't be a problem. I'll just take a brush and brush that out, and the decals should cover it anyway. Okay, so I've touched up the spots in the paint where the purple bled over onto the white. I've put the first round of the letter decals on, and I've got two sets of these decals just because I've used that Lake Speed Delta 88 to build a lot of different cars with, so I had a collection of these decals, and I'll probably put both sets on just because they tend to bleed. The purple will bleed through the white, even though it hasn't done so on this build yet. But I don't really have any other use for these, so I'll probably put both sets on. Making a lot of progress on all the different parts, and it's getting about to the point where I'll start putting everything together. These AMT kits come with these nice fat tires, which I think look more realistic and nicer than the Monogram tires. And I always they have the raised lettering, which I always take a nail file and sand that off. and go over it with some flat black water-based paint, and then I'll put tire decals on it. And this car actually ran Hoosier tires, or the Lake Speed car that won the Darlington 500 in '88. It had the Hoosier tires, and of course in 1988 they were in the middle of the NASCAR tire war. And some teams were running Hoosiers, some teams were running Goodyears, so I have some Hoosier decals that I'll put on these. And it also ran these, I took oven cleaner, and these rims come in chrome, or they're a bright chrome color. I washed that down with some oven cleaner and painted them with some tester silver, because this car had aluminum rims, and the Delta 88 that I built out of the monogram kit in '87, it had a purple interior, but found some reference pics of this car, and it had the white interior, which that was around the time they were switching all the interiors over from the color of the car to white or gray, just because they could see cracks in them better with those lighter colors. And I've got the engine done, and it's got to put the fan belt assembly on it and detail that, and got the seat painted. Like I said, I'll be getting close to putting everything together in the next couple parts of the video. Alright, I've put most of the decals on this. This car has those pinstripes, and I'm going to let those dry before I put those Kmart decals on the back quarters. And I've got the rest of the decals on. This is I believe this is these AMTs are 1/24th scale at the check. No, it's actually 1/25th, but they're quite a bit smaller than the monogram Delta 88s. So these decals were just a little big, and I will have to trim those a little bit. For those contingency decals, the ones on the front fender next to the letters, I use the ones from the monogram kit, and I had to use the ones that came with this kit for the Bobby Hamilton decals on the front of the fender, because the monogram ones were just too big. And every year these change just a little bit, and I put the Hoosier tire decal on the fender instead of the decal, or the Goodyear decal. Got those Hoosier decals on the tires, and I realized after looking at some pictures of this car that I'd painted the whole trunk purple, but the back of it was white, so I taped that off and put some white primer on it. And I'll let that dry overnight, and paint it with the tester's white tomorrow, and I'll let these decals dry overnight, and put the rest of those on tomorrow also. Okay, I've got the engine mounted, wheels and suspension are all on. I've put all the interior pieces in and painted and detailed those. The fire extinguisher, the blower fan, gear shifter. These MSD ignition boxes, which it's really cool. These AMT kits come with those, because the monograms don't. And one thing though, they're always on the dashboard on these kits, and I cut them off and put them down on the floor. I've just never seen any pictures of these cars in real life where those boxes were on the dash. They could have been on, some people might have done that, but all the pictures I've seen, they're down on the floor. I've got the exhaust all put together and painted. I'm gonna let all these parts dry on this floorboard, and then I'll turn it over and put that exhaust on, and put the roll cage on. I used some 12 gauge wire to make those pads on that stiffener bar. Also put one on the other stiffener bar that goes up to the roof on the roll cage. I don't put them on the roof line bars, just because that would that would raise the body up and it wouldn't look right. And I guess you could paint those in, which I don't do that because I don't plan on displaying this car anywhere other than a shelf. But in the next part of the video, I should have the roll cage on and be putting all the body parts together and getting that on. Okay, so I've got the roll cage put on. I've got all the parts to that put on, and I'm getting ready to put the body on over the roll cage, and then I'll put that exhaust system on after I put the body on. Got the windows detailed, and I will also put those on after I get the body on the car. Okay, so I've put the body on. I've put the windows in. I glued those in with this clear Elmer's glue, which I always use on windows, just because you don't have to worry about it getting on the windows, and it won't come off like model glue, and it dries clear. Still have a few minor details to put on the car, like the radiator hose and air cleaner. There's some hoses in the trunk, and so forth. And in the next part of the video, I should have her done. Okay, so I've just put the final touches on this Wins Kmart Oldsmobile. So I'm calling it done. Happy with the way it turned out. Last thing I had to do was put that radiator hose in there and detail that, and the air cleaner, and I detailed the front end. Of course, these AMT kits are all made to be speed or short track cars, where the monogram kits were speedway cars. And the difference is they always had those vents in the front bumper. And I have filled those in before and made them speedway cars, but I didn't do that on this one. Of course, they always have the trunk that opens, and have the detailed fuel cell in them. And I also got the exhaust put on, and I will snap some pictures of this and put it at the end of the video. Thanks for watching.